I said, God, give me a warning. Please take me for the morning so I leave more disappointments than I ever.
Welcome to First and 15, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with two-time FFPC champ AB. Alongside him is my guy, Dio the Machine. Guys, it's been crazy news. We're getting close to week one. A lot of cuts, a lot of surprising IR designations. I want to go through a little bit of the news that happened not only today, but the last couple days. Obviously, the big one is CeeDee Lamb, finally getting his contract. I don't think that changes much for us in fantasy. I think we all thought that CD was going to sign with the Cowboys and that he was going to be ready to go, at least physically be there. I don't know if he's really going to be there mentally, like ready to go the way that he would have if he would have been in camp. But I don't think you guys have anything to say about CeeDee Lamb signing.
I would say 2 weeks, both him and Chase, probably just enough time for me to feel just as I did before we had all the news about them sitting out, meaning that I'm less worried now that they're, got a couple of weeks to get their bodies into shape. Not that they weren't doing anything, while they were holding out, but just being there with the team, walkthroughs, etc. Like I feel a lot more comfortable right now with them in this setting. I mean, I think we all anticipated a contract, but what I didn't want was for this to drag into the season. What I didn't want was them not practicing up until like a couple of days beforehand, or, worst case scenario, they miss a game or two. So, ease of mind. I don't think, like we talked about before, we didn't really drastically move them down the rankings. For me, CD was not necessarily this like player that was just head and shoulders above all the other wide receivers. So he just kind of fell down to that end of that tier. He's right now maybe in the middle of that tier, which means basically, I mean, I just been kind of mixing it in. Chase really didn't change for me at all because he was already kind of going right where I had him ranked. Pre holdout news anyway. So not much change, but definitely a little bit more comfort level. Just feels a little bit better clicking on the button.
Let's keep going with news. I think the surprising thing to me, but somewhat not surprising, Nick Chubb going on IR, at least out for the first 4 weeks. I think the piece of news that's actually related to that is Deontay Foreman being cut, which seems to leave only, our boy who, we didn't really want to, click the button on Jerome Ford, but it only leaves Jerome Ford there in that backfield. They have to bring somebody else in, right? Like one of these guys who are, who has gotten cut into this.
Just Jerome Ford.
Who else is there?
Pierre Strong, remember?
And
I told you about Pierre Strong like weeks ago. He's still there.
Yeah,
it's only Pierre Strong in four right now.
No, what about there was
Naeem Hines is on the
Naeem Hines.
NFI.
He's in NFI right now. Okay.
Foreman cut Chubb on
IR.
I mean, I actually have a lot of four. I don't know why y'all didn't want to draft him before. I mean,
it just didn't feel good because
he's
even last year. Yeah, I got you.
He's starting to run back and he was going late. Like you're not even using a premium pick on him. Even now, even now. I mean, I guess I haven't been in the draft since today's news came out, so maybe he's going a round or two higher.
Yeah.
But I honestly think people probably draft him in the same exact spot, like 10, 11.
I agree.
So because people ain't excited about getting four. Honestly, drafting and remember when we talked about this weeks ago. I wish we created something where everybody's ADP is reflected whether they're being drafted their ceiling, floor, or in between. In Ford's case, I think you're right now drafting him at his floor.
Yeah.
So take that for however you want to take. Now, the only risk, it's the same risk you have with Chuba Hubbard, is when the incumbent, comes back and theoretically gets the workload that they initially were expecting to have, then the value of said player almost goes to zero, vanishes immediately. And it sucks because even if you're in redraft or dynasty, it's really even hard to trade him because everybody knows what's coming.
Yeah, that's the only pushback I would give about him being drafted at his floor is that, if Chubb does come back, dude's squatting like 15,000 pounds right now. Not to say that that's the only thing you need to come back, but if he does come back, then then he is kind of what he is. So, and one thing that, I always kind of like to look at, when we're talking about, is a player too high, too low? Is he a value? is look at his teammates and look at players going around him.
Mhm.
You know, people kind of priced in all of this. The market does a pretty good job for the most part, right?
Mhm.
As far as where Ford goes, then where Chubb goes. If you just want to take the bet, you know he's kind of a beast. Maybe he's one of the outliers, and he kind of comes back and he.
You can
You
actually
know.
get both in some cases.
Yeah, exactly. You can get both, and then they priced in Foreman. Like
Yeah.
Foreman was largely getting undrafted. He was, very much at the end of the, you're back in the or like in the 20th round,
Like
if
a best
that.
ball pick. Yeah.
Exactly. And even then, like there was, even with like maybe a little bit of hype here or there, people still did not move up his ADP. So I think all of that was priced in. But the one thing that I would say is, and this happens every single year, is players will get cut and then they will just come right back to the practice squad. And then remember, it's a lot easier for teams to like move people up from the practice squad.
Oh
just
yeah,
to get-
I definitely don't
So-
believe the Browns are only staying
Yeah.
with 2 running backs going into game 1. I don't think any of the roster
Yeah.
today. By the way, I don't know when this is going out or when people are going to watch
Yeah.
it, but this is Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like today's the day where everybody cut players down. We haven't
Yeah.
got to the players where teams are picking players up.
Yeah.
So teams are going to change dramatically. Like teams like the Texans last year, they were picking up and releasing players every day leading into
Yeah.
week 1 or game day. So
Yeah.
don't get comfortable with the way
Yeah.
these rosters look now.
Yeah, and they can get released and they can hop right back on the same team.
Yeah.
You got other guys who've just been out there, like a Dalvin
They
Cook
go to
may land
practice
somewhere.
squad and get promoted
Yeah.
game day and things
So-
like that. But let me say this stuff.
Yeah.
Let me say this one thing, because I understand the sentiment. And again, Ford and Chuba are kind of in a similar situation, in my opinion, the way I view them and the way I feel like the public views them.
Mhm.
But here's one thing. I think the sentiment commonly is that, yeah, they're starters and yeah, they're okay players. But again, like I was just saying before, the incumbent is going to return, right? And I think that's baked into all of their values.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I do want people to just consider. And I know it's hard, especially if you're fans of certain players and talents, but just consider the possibility,
Mhm.
whether how small it is, it could be 1% or maybe even 50% or anywhere in between or anywhere above that. But just consider the possibility
Mhm.
that Chubb and or Brooks does not come back
Mhm.
or
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
come back right. And if that happens,
Yeah.
these players that you're taking, if they do a solid enough job where the team is still comfortable with them, they end up being like league changers for you,
Yeah.
or team changers for you, if you
Yeah.
will, for a
Mhm.
whole season that you got at a discounted rate.
Yeah.
You know, because if I was to tell you those guys are going to have the starting job the whole season,
Mhm.
and I think if everybody knew that, they'd be going higher than what they're going now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so that's just the only thing. So, and that's not impossible. We've seen it happen.
I agree.
You
I
know,
agree.
so.
Let's also talk about some other guys who are still on or who were, to me, surprisingly placed on IR. Keandre Miller, I didn't see that coming. Placed on IR. Also, AJ Dillon
How do you
placed
not
on
see
IR.
Kendrick Miller? Oh, you thought he was going to get cut?
No, I just didn't see him like still being on IR like to start the season.
Bro, he hasn't. I think he's.
I
Has
don't
he
know what.
practiced at all?
I don't know. What's
No,
going
but
on
I
with
just
it. I'm
just
starting to get the frustration.
Yeah.
by
for
Dennis
real.
Allen.
We always put in our. Well, I'm always putting in our group chat all the tweets we see about Dennis Allen hating Kendrick Miller.
yeah.
And like,
The
coach,
hate is
how's
real.
it been? Hey, F Kendrick Miller. You know, so
The hate is real.
but he hasn't practiced, I don't think, at all. You know, and obviously they've had the frustration. I was more concerned they were going to cut him
Yeah.
personally. So being on IR is.
I think the
positive in my opinion.
GM probably was like, look, I know you have an issue, but calm down. Like,
Yeah, for real,
yeah,
chill out.
yeah, chill out.
If they did cut him, I think he would have been picked up pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
exactly.
What about AJ Dillon? Did you guys see AJ
I didn't
Dillon
see that.
starting the season on IR?
I didn't
Been
see
on
that.
at
I didn't
least
even
4
know he got
weeks.
hurt.
Yeah, I didn't know that he got hurt. That's the thing too. Is like not a lot of things are getting reported, so it makes
Mhm.
it kind of difficult to like follow all the news. You know, you don't have the questionable, doubtful tags. I mean,
Right.
the
Coach
Yeah.
is
coaching
going to have to
doubtful.
speak on injuries.
Yeah,
or anything.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a big one. Obviously, that's like a huge thing for Josh Jacobs. But again, you know, how far do you want to swing the pendulum in Josh Jacobs' favor? I think it definitely, gives him a little bump. 4 games is a bump, you know, without AJ Dillon.
No. He's gone. AJ Dillon is gone.
I don't think he's out for the season. I think it's
No,
just
he's gone.
He's out for the season?
Yes, he's done.
No,
It's a
he's
wrap.
not.
no,
Yeah,
he's
he's done.
not.
He's done, folks. So, with that being said,
Oh, wow.
we need to be talking more about. So, the
Yeah.
first people are going to probably bring up is Lloyd.
Yeah.
Who actually I was hearing is going to go on IR yesterday.
Yeah.
who didn't go on IR. And I'm
Yeah.
mad because I picked him up in my Yahoo home league. I was gonna put him in my IR spot,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen. But anyways,
Man, he's out the whole season.
yes, sir. So
Wow.
everybody's gonna look at Lloyd again,
Yeah.
who avoided IR,
Yeah.
the rookie
Look at the
USC,
glasses.
highly touted.
Right.
But the guy that y'all probably should be more looking at, and I guess this is my dynasty, folks. Everybody
Emmanuel,
that watch
yeah.
the show, they know I'm a dynasty guy. Emmanuel Wilson.
Yeah.
Go look at your boy.
I've looked at him. He's
No,
not,
go look
no.
again. Go look again. I'm telling
No.
you. I'm telling you.
Nah,
Emmanuel Wilson is that guy.
he's
And again,
not.
he's a guy that you can take under the radar. Nobody's gonna pay attention. One injury away right now. Because Lloyd is hurt right now.
Mhm.
If they play the game today, Lloyd wouldn't be able to
They
play.
bringing in somebody else.
Okay,
it's
maybe.
not going to be.
Maybe. I mean, we'll
Wilson.
see. I mean, but it's hard to predict the future. All I can
That's
do
fair.
is look at what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
So-
Breaking news: AJ Dillon placed on IR and will miss the 2024 season.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What about Elijah
Wow.
Mitchell?
He's
Season
done too.
injury.
Yeah,
he's done for the season.
Yeah.
That one was kind of surprising too.
It
like to
was.
miss
That
the
one
entire
was-
season.
That one was very
It
surprising.
was.
Yeah. So
Crazy thing is, like, I think I knew Mitchell was going in and out of practice, but it's
Yeah.
Mitchell, right? Like
Yeah.
he always
Yeah.
gets. That's what he does.
Yeah.
He gets hurt. He comes
Hey,
back.
all
He
the-
gives you a couple games.
I got a ton of Elijah Mitchell bags. Well,
Oh, do you?
that's an easy cut. Well, because he
Okay.
was just going so late. He
Just
was going
swap
so
him
late.
out.
Yeah, he's going so late.
Swap him out for Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
all right, so let's
No
talk
more
about
waiver.
cuts as
Or
well.
Emmanuel Wilson, because Jordan Mason's probably going to be, a little
Yeah.
bit pricey now.
Yeah. So let's
Yeah.
talk about cuts. Tim Patrick cut from the Broncos. We kind of talked about him on the pod a couple of times about having some success with the Broncos. Looks like he was cut. It looks like he's going to be picked up fairly soon.
He's signing with the Lions.
You're right. So he has a visit with the Lions.
No, he's signing with the Lions.
Well, I heard that he visited the Lions and that he has another visit with another team. I think the Ravens is what
Maybe
I've heard.
news is changed, but from what I heard, he was signing with the Lions practice squad.
All right.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about Tim Scott joining that Lions team? Does that change the landscape of that
Tim Patrick?
receiver?
Tim Patrick, you mean?
I'm sorry, Tim Patrick.
Oh,
What is it?
Not
that's your boy,
really.
so I'll let you speak on him.
Oh, that's my boy.
I thought you were telling that.
Oh, yeah. When I like is a strong word.
Not a
What
strong word.
It's not.
It's the most
It's
chill
not
word I
actually-
can use.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually
Strong
not a
word.
strong.
No, really what it was is just more so I just did not necessarily was not in love with any of the wide receivers in the
From the
Denver.
Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos wide
I
receiver
get
room.
it.
So
I get
it's just kind of like a name to keep in mind. I think he was getting runs with the one. So
He was.
we also mentioned Devon Bele as well. So
who made the team, which
Who
is
made it-
surprising
yeah.
because,
Mhm.
like you said, Patrick was getting run with the ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
Vele was a backup, and they cut
Yeah.
Patrick. That's
But-
weird.
And that's what that's what we talk about like preseason. Sometimes like they just want to like put people on showcase, maybe try to get a trade out of them, or sometimes they just want to kind of see how these guys work with the first team.
Mhm.
They had plans for other guys that they don't necessarily need to see in these scenarios. So I think it definitely opens up the room. I know a lot of people, including myself, would love for Denzel Mims to be a
Marvin
thing.
Mims.
Marvin Mims to be a thing. I'm just still not. seeing
Denzel
it,
Mims
so-
throwback. Sorry.
He
Go
got
ahead.
cut.
Yeah.
I think he just got cut too. But so as far as like his role with the Lions,
Yeah.
not worried about it at all. As far as affecting anybody else with the
Not
Lions,
a little bit.
no, because Josh Reynolds was there last year. To
Yeah.
me, he's just sort of
Yeah.
kind of an equivalent to Josh Reynolds. He's going to be going to a new team, new offense, got to pick up the
Man.
system. Hasn't played football in a long time. So even
Yeah.
if he is a Tim Patrick of what he was a couple of years ago, he still has to get incorporated into a new thing.
If my name was Jamison Williams, I'd be nervous right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Personally.
hear you.
If I was Jamison Williams, because
Could-
I think that's the role he would play on that team.
What?
Mm.
Yeah.
You don't got Jameson Williams type speed.
Speed,
Nobody,
yeah.
nobody
Not
playing
about,
that.
not about the speed. Like, okay, Jameson Williams, he can take the top off the defense. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
They need
But-
3 wide
but-
receivers though.
But they also need the deep intermediate post game. Patrick can do all of that. And Patrick is a big body. They have no other
Yeah.
big body.
Yeah.
The Lions are always talking about how they like big body receivers.
That's true.
Their main receiver is a short guy. He's not going anywhere. They just paid him.
Yeah.
They love Khalif Raymond, so they're not
Mhm.
taking him off the field.
Mhm.
Who's left?
Khalif Raymond is coming off the field.
Okay, I'm just saying they
They
love
spent
him.
a first round. They're gonna try to make that work.
No, I'm not saying they don't like Jameson Williams. What I'm saying is, because we don't even know if Patrick is going to be a thing yet.
Right.
He's just on the practice squad right now. He
Yeah.
might have to work his way up. But if he does get in the rotation, I think
Yeah.
it's the Williams. Is that his name? Jameson Williams? Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's the Williams role that would take the biggest hit because
Yeah.
I think that's where he
Yeah.
fits in.
Yeah, like Heisman Trophy winner Jameson Williams.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I mean,
remember
we don't
were
even- we
wrong
don't even
about
He's
know.
been
that.
having no trouble for a while.
Yeah.
We weren't wrong. I wasn't wrong, but I didn't understand the Heisman Trophy.
I
But-
think those.
But what I would say though that I'm not saying how that necessarily impacts his role, but the one thing that I would say is we don't know what his role is.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything for 2 years. So it's not as if like anybody's expecting anything. So if he kind of comes in and he's a gadget guy, he's a field stretcher, he's a, in around here or there, like that's,
nobody's
sure. Gonna be surprised.
I'm just saying if I was James, I would just be nervous.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'd be most nervous.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd take a few of my snaps compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Kadarius Toney. He was also reportedly cut by the Chiefs. Hey man,
that boy living off of like 2 plays.
He is, but reportedly cut by the Chiefs. Doesn't change anything for you guys. I know that you guys were not drafting him. Can you see him going to some place and changing the landscape there, turning it around?
Would take a shot. I mean, he's still young.
Yeah,
high draft pedigree.
Still has a lot of talent too. So maybe fresh, change of scenery could change things a little bit.
Yeah, shoot. More importantly, Justin Ross got cut.
Yeah, that was crazy. They them signing
the most
Juju.
non-surprising.
Really, the news is them signing Juju Smith-Schuster,
and that was going to be next. Yeah,
which is just odd.
That kind of came out of nowhere.
Just odd.
I don't know what Juju is going to give to them.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people thinking it was slightly concerned. Maybe the Rice suspension might be coming down soon. So I don't think that's true. I think he's actually going to play the season.
But yeah,
wait, is Rice the one we were having a debate earlier this offseason about? And I always said he was going to play the whole season, right?
Yeah,
I'm looking pretty good right now.
I said that as well.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
But you came around a little late, but you did say it as well.
You came around late. I was literally the one pushing to draft him.
No. Dial said that he was not going to be suspended throughout the season.
It's okay. No.
You said
we're going to pull receipts.
It's okay.
I said that he was going to get suspended
Chris already
next season because we have precedent.
Chris already
remember I used the word precedent.
When we originally
he said that he's not going to get suspended at all. I said he was going to get suspended next season. Because that's what the NFL usually does. They usually push it to next season. So I said for this season, for redraft,
I didn't say he wouldn't get suspended at all. I know he's going to eventually get suspended. He's having league. He has 2 legal issues going on.
You said he was not going to.
No, I said
no.
He suspended this year.
Yeah. That's what it said.
Somebody pull the tape.
It's on wax.
Okay, we can move on.
Last thing. Puka's back at practice. I know that Puka.
By the way, real quick, Juju. Do we think he does anything with that team?
I'm ignoring that.
He kind of knows the system.
He knows the system.
So
and they went to go pick him up. They didn't have to.
And they dropped some other guys who are fairly talented. Like if they really
I think he's above Sky, right?
He seems like depth.
But he's above Sky, right? Would y'all say that? Sky Moore?
I don't know.
Because I feel like the only people above him right now are Rice, Worthy, and Hollywood. And Hollywood's hurt. Oh, Justin Watson
might be.
I feel like a lot would have to happen for him to be a relevant pickup.
Justin Watson could have a breakout season this year too. I can kind of see.
I think he's always slightly underrated. He just doesn't win you much in fantasy.
Yeah. All right, guys. So let's talk about the Listener League for a little bit. I know that we've already completed Listener League 1, but because of all of the fanfare, people really enjoyed it. It was really a fun time in the chat during the Listener League. So we're gonna do it again. This coming Sunday, we're going to do Listener League number 2, Sunday, September 1st, 7:45. Please tune in to the live stream.
7:45 Central, right?
Yeah, Central.
8:45 Eastern.
I think so, but I'll have a link. We'll post the link. I don't know. We'll post.
We Houston folks, man. We Central.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But Listener League coming up. Like our listeners are really sharp. Stay in tune to what news drops and things like that. How are you guys going to change up this draft versus the last one with people having already kind of seen like how you draft, who you like, things like that? So you're not changing nothing.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
Different draft positions.
Listeners better come ready.
Well, different draft. What am I drafting?
I think you're number 4 or 5.
In the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I'm number 6. I'm like right in the middle. I'm in the perfect place.
Yeah, I'm actually number 1 this
I'm not first. Thank you.
This time. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Like I don't really like
I will
that
say this, like you said, the chat was buzzing last draft. I will be in the chat as well. So even if you're not in the Listener League, follow along.
Yeah.
And that is a time, like if you have any draft questions, because I know a lot of you guys hit me up on DM. Sometimes I just can't get to them. If you are watching that night, you drop a question, I will be sure to answer it. Chris will answer it as well.
I'll definitely try to put it on the
maybe
chat.
too focused in on the draft. We'll see if we can get him to answer questions.
I'm going to work hard to get Dale in the chat.
Yeah,
man. Come on,
then,
man.
of course, we'll make a couple of guest appearances. I'm going to try not to be searing
For my
grilling any
draft board.
steaks. So I'm legit not catching my kitchen on fire. So, but yeah,
But yeah, so
tune in.
I got the 1 overall pick.
Who you gonna go with?
You'll see.
CD's back.
You better go with CMC.
I'm not going CMC. I'm
Go
just
see.
telling
You're
you
not
that
going
now.
CMC?
I'm not going CMC.
Why?
You'll see. You'll see. I'm not going CMC.
How will we
Oh,
see?
man.
We'll see you pick somebody else.
How many number one picks
okay.
do you have?
So you just like somebody more than CMC?
Not many, but I do have a CMC as the second pick. Somebody took CD Lamb and I got CMC as the second pick. But I'm not going CMC.
Okay.
So you're saying you do, okay? Do you not like CMC, or you just like somebody more than CMC?
To me, like I've drafted enough to where I think I want to bet against the field on this one.
Okay, I respect that.
Because everybody's going CMC, so I want to bet against the field,
I
potentially get a
respect that for
unique
sure.
build.
Boy,
So-
gambler.
Oh yeah, I listened to Nick Wright
I wanna
today talk
bet.
about his gambling picks, and I was like, man, like y'all have really turned me into a degenerate because I was not into fantasy football like this before we started
You're
this.
just
pod.
seeing it differently. You're just seeing a tournament way of seeing things.
Yeah.
You can apply it to a lot of different things in life.
So we're
I'll write a
getting
book about it one day.
So we're getting into I write a book about it one day. So we're getting into our last week, really last week and a half. Because I think you guys draft up until like the last draft, right?
Hell no.
Abby,
Abby does.
like I know you
Abby's
draft
a
up until like the
degenerate. Yeah.
last
I never
day.
said I didn't.
All right.
Like I will be drafting Sunday morning.
Abby,
Kickoff.
Abby standing at the finish line
Two
waiting.
games have already played. Yeah. Like, can I get in one more? Can I get one more?
But no, like this last week, like how do you guys sort of change strategy? Do you change strategy? Is this the time to really start like drafting every day because people who haven't drafted all season are just now getting in? Like, how do you guys see this last week? Is there like a last week push for you, or is it just like, you know what? I've already sort of used
I
every
don't think
bullet and
I don't necessarily increase volume. I know a lot of people talk about that, and there may be something to it. I definitely wouldn't have an issue if someone like kind of waited to the end. Some people just feel more comfortable having all the information and kind of making a more informed decision.
Yeah.
It's probably like a wash for most people as far as you draft early, you get some value, but then maybe you miss out on certain news, and then and then for people who draft late, you miss out on the value, but maybe now you avoid all the potential landmines. You got all the information, and can kind of really put together a solid draft. So probably doesn't matter as much. I think for me, really, what I kind of focus in on these last few weeks is really just sort of kind of addressing any spots where I feel like I'm underweight, and I really try to address that before the last 2 weeks, because if a guy that I'm underweight on value starts to really skyrocket, or ADP starts to really skyrocket, then it becomes a little less fun, taking them 2 rounds earlier when I could have had them 2 rounds later in most drafts. But, they always say that people come up, then others must fall as well. Someone rises, someone else has to fall. So no change in actual strategy itself, but more so looking at my portfolio. If I feel like, hey, I've been on this guy, but for some reason I just don't have enough shares, and I'm trying to like come up a little bit. So maybe I, come up a little bit as far as reaching a round or so ahead.
So I'm definitely not like Abby, where he jumps in as many drafts as he can. Like I slow it down for sure. I start, I play fantasy, right? I play fantasy football, which means I play in a lot of different formats. And I like to look for overlay when we get close to the beginning of the season. Basically, overlay is when a contest has a certain player, a pool of a team they expected to have, and it doesn't fill up to that amount of team. That means that the probability of winning increases
of cashing out.
Like that. Exactly. So I'm looking at, doesn't have much, but DraftKings, Underdog. Last year it started happening to Drafters.
Drafters
kind of
is
cool. Other things like that I start to look for, and in FFPC, I look for it as well. And last year or two, it seemed like it's possible. I think they still ended up always filling. But that's what I'm looking for. Now I will say this. Let me say 2 things. Number one, I think the strategy should slightly change a little bit. And I guess these 2 things are kind of a combination of the same thing. But I think the strategy should change a little bit, because I think for me personally, when I was drafting early, I was drafting like players that I feel like their value was going to stay contained, and players that I feel like they had more ambiguous situations later that, with, a high potential later. And now when you get close to now that we know everybody's role a lot more
that picture
firmly,
is clear.
Right. Everything's a lot more clear. I can kind of draft those players, more so running backs. I
Yeah.
could probably draft running backs a lot higher than I was before because now I know they don't have to worry about anything, injuries, players taking their spot. I will say this one thing though. When I look at boards from May, June,
Mhm.
and I don't know, Abby, if you would agree with this.
Mhm.
It's just my, I guess, perspective of it. But when I look at boards from May and June, and I look at boards like now,
Mhm.
they're not that different to me. I don't think much has happened in this offseason that's made a big change.
It's been a quiet offseason.
No
Yeah.
major
Yeah.
injuries,
Yeah.
no major trades. Yeah, we've had some holdouts,
Yeah.
but it didn't change much of the
No.
value. So it's almost like I don't really see there was much revenge at all this year. I mean, really?
I feel like mostly you can probably guess who had significant changes in value or whose value shifted just based on hype and based
Hype.
on like trade rumors.
Yeah,
So like Malik Neighbors, perfect example.
yeah.
In May he was going like you can get him in like the late fourth.
Fourth. Now he's like 2-3.
Yeah.
More so 3 though.
Yeah.
But you can get.
Yeah.
I've seen some 2. You got him in the second
Yeah.
one.
Ayuk, it was going in the second round.
Second, third. Yeah.
Now you
Now
can
he's
get him
fourth.
fourth. I've seen him going to fifth. Debo was going in the late fourth. Now he's
like
going
third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you said, like not major changes.
Yeah.
Rasheed Rice has kind of been the one that's fluctuated the most.
Yeah.
When I started off
I would
drafting,
agree
I was
with
taking
that.
him in the third round and feeling very, very
But
comfortable.
remember,
with
we
that.
talked about this weeks ago, maybe a
Yeah.
couple months ago. We talked about the Chiefs receivers
Yeah.
and how we were like, yeah, you might not know which one, or you might not agree with which one is going to be the one that hits, but one of them are going to hit.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were all going so late just made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I think the public started to get that because
Yeah.
not only is Rasheed Rice coming up higher, but so is Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worthy
And,
is shooting.
and maybe it's due to the fact that Hollywood is hurt.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely, because Hollywood's falling down.
Yeah,
So it's
Hollywood's
probably
falling down,
like-
but it hasn't been just
Also,
free fall.
positive reports too on Worthy about him looking good. in
And
camp.
Rice again.
Yeah. What's
the
the
concern
highlight
about
plays?
suspension has been reduced a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I just don't feel like the boards have had a major shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So compared to the past seasons,
Let's talk about Kyron Williams for a second. You picked him in the second round in our listener league draft. We just heard
How do you feel about
McVay.
that?
I'm pretty good with it.
Okay.
Let's talk about McVay saying that he's going to return punts. How do you guys feel about guys like your running backs or just starting receivers being on special teams? It's extra touches, but it's also sort of, I think, like non-quality.
The
like
only
touches.
concern, there's only one concern with it, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Well, I guess two. One, surface level. The other one's a little bit deeper. Surface level is people concerned it just increases chance for injury.
Injury.
Okay. He's a running back,
Mhm.
right? He plays a position that literally gets hurt. Punt return, maybe
Mhm.
4 or 5 times a game. A lot of them times it might be fair catches or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. It's a risk concern, but it is what it is. If you can tell me he's still going to get that same workload
Mhm.
as far as running back, I actually have no concern. Matter of fact, it might make his value a little bit higher because now he has a chance to maybe run one back.
Right.
Really. But on the other hand of it, I can look at it as, okay, the coach wants to put another duty on his plate. So then the other role, the running back role,
might be
a little
reduced.
bit reduced because
Mhm.
now you have Quorum and he mentioned Rivers today
Yeah.
as far as people that might take a fair amount of their work. That's a mild concern, and
Mhm.
whether he's a punt returner or not, I don't think that changes that. I still like Kyron a lot. I still like his role.
Yeah.
I saw what I saw,
Mhm.
last year.
Yeah.
Nothing changed in my opinion. That's why I'm drafting him.
Mhm.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. This is tricky because I think the biggest concern is that you put one of your quote unquote star players back there for kick return. You kind of think less of them is I think what most people are kind
Punt
of viewing
return.
as punt return.
But there was
Mhm.
a time they
Yeah.
used to put star
Oh
players.
yeah. No, I know,
Mhm.
I know. Like Tyreek Hill, I think
Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson. So yeah. So definitely there was a time for that. So I think I don't know what to make of it. To me, this doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't hear
it
the
makes you
news and think
uncomfortable a little bit.
I don't hear the news and think, oh my. But I also don't want to be overly aggressive about saying, and this is a time. I mean, it's already started. People gonna be taking victory laps. I told you so. Like this is why I said the fate. And we haven't even played a game yet.
Mhm.
So, but you gotta. I don't necessarily know if this is one where you gotta stake your claim. I feel like my gut feeling is going to be that this is really going to take a hit on his ADP. And it's going to be very, very difficult for me not to try and take advantage or try and gamble.
How much of a hit do you think is going to have in his ADP?
Oh, I think absolutely he will be going the earliest in the third round, like mid-third round right now. And I think at the latest, I think you'll start seeing him fall into the fourth in certain
I don't
leagues.
think he's falling to the fourth.
Yeah.
He's been a third round pick. I've seen some people take him in the second round.
He's been basically around that 2-3 turn.
Yeah, probably more in the third than the second, but yeah, like in the early thirds where I see him a lot.
Yeah.
And then I've seen him kind of fall in the third.
I see a lot of CMC teams taking for whatever reason. You just see a CMC.
My CMC taken. I mean, number 1 and number 2 running back last year.
Yeah.
So I've seen him fall in like the mid to early back end third. I can maybe see him falling to the back end of the third, early fourth. Maybe. I just if you compare him to the other options there, I don't think there's many other options. Okay, let me say this: Josh Jacobs. He's going to start shooting up boards.
He has to, right?
Maybe Josh again, like I said, if somebody rides somebody's fall, maybe Josh Jacobs jumping up in ADP is going to make Kyren fall a lot more than what I'm expecting. So maybe he will be a fourth rounder, but still, like taking DJ Moore over Kyren Williams, like those are the type of people in the early fourth, right? So I don't know. I don't think he's going to fall too much.
I
don't think he'll fall that
Mike
much.
Evans goes there.
No, Mike Evans
DK
going in
was
the third
going
round now, I think. Mike Evans pretty solid. I've seen Mike Evans early third.
DK.
You got your Pittman. DK starting going third a little bit now too.
Devontae Smith.
Devontae, yeah. So it's going to be Devontae or Kyren. I mean, even that.
All right, well, then let's play this game for a second. Would you rather have Kyren or Pacheco? Right now, like even with the news that you got, who would you rather have?
I'm not a Pacheco guy, man.
Me neither.
Me either.
I'm going Kyren.
All right, so if you're going Kyren, in our league, he was middle to back end of the third.
Who, Pacheco?
Pacheco.
Yeah, I know.
So
Pacheco goes again in the third. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Pacheco kind of coming up boards too.
He is maybe back in the second, but like these guys are all going in that mid-second to very, very beginning of the fourth.
Yeah. I just feel
like if you think about it, all those teams, what I just said, are going to have couple are going to have 2 shots at him.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's going to be somebody that's falling so far as like you're passing him up over and over. So all you're doing is shifting him on the board.
Yeah.
He went from being taken by teams on one side of the board to now, if he falls, just being taken by teams on the other side of the board. But really, what's the true value? Value, in my opinion, comes from where somebody that you were able to take in the third, now you're able to get them in the fourth, or better yet, the fifth. Something like that. Because now you're taking other people with similar values, plus the guy that you had value earlier at a later place. So, I mean, it's stuff like this. It doesn't move the needle too much for me. Now, with that being said, if Vay comes out and says something like, man, Corum, we're going to probably rotate in them series or just something like that where he talks to Corum.
They definitely are rotating series.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying if he says it, right? Because now he's doubling down. Like, not only are we going to make Kyren a punt returner, but we're also going to give Corum all these touches. Yeah. That's probably going to make his ADP free fall.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I know, Abby, you've been drafting since, I think you were in like a league.
He's in the first draft.
That was like the way too early.
He was in the draft where they're like, sign up and wait for us to open the gates. And Abby signed up and was waiting at the gates.
You were the guy in front of the Jordan line.
He was tailgated FFPC lobby.
But you were one of those iPhone guys who tinted outside of the store.
I can actually pull up my first draft here.
Pull up that first draft for a second, because I genuinely want to know, like, where was the value, or where do you think that you received value from those first drafts to now? Because like now, like the landscape is getting clearer and clearer. Like we kind of feel a lot better on, especially those first 2 rounds for the most part. But like, do you think that you got like some value out of there where some guys, actually fail, but you were able to get them?
That's the thing, is like you got some value. So I'm gonna put up 2 teams. Okay, this first team, I would, I took AJ Brown. I think I drafted at the like 11-12. Okay, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, and then I took Jalen Hurts. Okay. So Jalen Hurts, definitely goes in the 5th, right? I took him in the 4th. And this is kind of like, this was like the shift. And I was, kind of starting to see this. And then eventually it just kind of settled in where quarterbacks started going a little bit later. Okay. Because getting Jalen Hurts in the like late 4th last year, or in the 4th round last year, was not that common. I'm getting a high end, like top 3 quarterback in the 4th round was kind of seen as value. You know?
Wait. So AJ Brown in the 1st.
Yep.
And then you were able to come
Garrett.
back around and get Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
And then once you came back around in the late third,
Devontae Smith.
Okay.
And then I got Jalen Hurts. And then I don't know where all these other guys went, but roster fills out with Ramondre Stevenson, Javonte Williams. This is before the draft, pre-draft. So I was very high on Blake Corum pre-draft, if y'all remember. I think a lot of people, we were just kind of assuming he was going to the Chargers, but he was also just like one of my favorite backs in the draft. And I wouldn't have to pay the premium price on like a Trey Benson. So I drafted a lot of him and actually some Jonathan Brooks. Wicks, unfortunately, this one got Elijah Mitchell, got Spears, got Zamir White on this team as well. I think I mentioned Javonte and Ramondre already.
You still feel good about that AJ Brown pick, though?
Yeah, I love AJ Brown. I actually think AJ Brown belongs in that conversation with everybody else in that 1st round.
Okay, so you think Devontae Smith is going to have a disappointing season?
No, I think they both will have
me.
great
So you
seasons.
took
It's a
2
different
Eagles
offense.
receivers.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
I'm very, very high on Kellen Moore coming to this offense. I'm very, very high on this offense running a lot more plays. I'm very high on this offense moving at a faster pace. I think people just underestimate what it means to run more plays and move at a faster pace.
So you're high enough on them where you're going to take them above ADP?
So there was no ADP.
Okay. So it wasn't where at that point you were like, I believe him
there
so
was
much
no
I'm just gonna
ADP.
take him.
No.
It was just that you were just taking the guys you feel like were good value.
So this was another one. This was actually the hard way league. This was like the too early league. Okay.
Mhm.
So this one I went Breece Hall. I got Kyron Williams. I got Deebo Samuels, Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Swift, Amari Cooper. I got TJ Hawkinson in this one, Luke Musgrave as well, Raheem Mostert. So this team is kind of stacked. You know, I waited on quarterback here, so I have like Trey Lance, Brock Purdy. But I mean, those are a lot of not Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence.
Oh.
So this team, I mean, has like a lot of guys like that typically go in like, you know, the first 5-6 rounds now that I was able to get a little bit later. So like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag, but I feel, you know, having Kyron on this team without having Blake Corum kind of hurts. But then, you know, I got other guys to fill it out. You know, I got Amari Cooper late. I got DeAndre Swift really late. So like I said, kind of give and take. But
you believe in Swift this year?
I do. I've actually been pretty high on him. And I haven't like been overdrafting him, but like I feel very comfortable taking him in the 6th round when I feel like not 6th or 7th round when I feel like
I think Khalil Herbert
Mhm.
is a threat.
Me too.
I think he's a serious threat.
Me too. Yep.
So
I mean, like he's more of a best ball like
I don't know, man. We might
draft
look
pick
back.
for me, but
We might look back at week 6 and be like, whoa, he was just right there sitting. We could all had him.
yeah,
It's definitely possible. I mean, Swift has not been able to really impress the coaching staffs and the team, but they spent a lot of money on him. They've been preserving him in my eyes, kind of throughout the preseason. And what I'm really like, what I'm gravitating to is his potential role in the passing game.
Okay.
So I'm thinking like he's someone who should be getting like 3 to 4
Do you
catches
see
a game.
him, and he's a running back, so he obviously doesn't
Yeah.
have to be high, but what do you see him priority-wise with the Bears?
What do you mean?
Target-wise, like priority.
Like 3 or 4.
Okay, so after the top 3 receivers.
Yeah, maybe after the top 2 receivers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you? So TJ Hawk is starting on the pup as well, missing
Yeah.
the first 4 games. Like, when do you think TJ Hawk is going to come back? Or do you feel because I think he was your first tight end that you named, right? It was TJ Hawk.
And then, like, yeah, I'm definitely I'm with Scott Barrett on this one. I think it just
He's
makes
worth
complete
holding
sense.
on to.
Hell yes, he's
What
worth
does Scott
holding on.
Barrett say?
He thinks he's like a must draft in all leagues
Why?
because there are very few guys that can really change your league. So let's think about this for a second. He was the top tight end last year, points per game before getting hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The top.
We know the talent.
So,
talent
but I want to stress that he was number 1.
Okay.
Okay. So we're always talking about these late tight ends and we'll draft 2 or 3. This guy pretty much goes after you drafted all your starters,
Okay.
even after you drafted your starting quarterback. I don't care if he sits on the bench for 10 weeks. In a large field tournament, if I have a guy who can like be out for 5 to 6 weeks, take 2 weeks to come back and then is healthy, especially on a team like the Vikings, where his target competition outside of Justin Jefferson is Jordan Addison. I'm not, like
Second year Jordan Addison. Man.
I don't even care. I don't even care. Don't even care. I've seen this. So like there are very few guys I think that can have the significant amount of impact. It costs nothing for me to hold them. We all hold high priority handcuffs. We all hold wide receivers that we feel like if an injury goes down, they may be of value, or maybe they're a thing. There are plenty of guys that we hold at the end. So that's just a gamble that like I'm willing to take, because really the only gamble to me in my eyes, same system, has already been there, has already proven that he can really be dominant. The only gamble that I'm taking is that just like he doesn't come back from injury, which is definitely a risk, but
or the quarterback situation there is so bad.
I was gonna say, like, I got a few one pushback is what you just said.
Yeah.
Different quarterback, second pushback.
Y'all know who the quarterbacks were last year when he was dominating?
Yeah, but
different quarterback though.
Yeah.
And my second pushback would be coming back from a brutal injury. Like we can hope he comes back right, but it's not a guarantee he's gonna come back right. My third pushback is a lot of what he was doing last year as the tight end was when Justin Jefferson was out. He was he was the main and only target. I mean, Jordan Addison had these fluky touchdowns here and there, but it was really the Hockenson show.
Mm-hmm.
But even with Justin Jefferson, he was still putting up numbers.
I mean, he's a good tight end. I love Hockenson. It's just that there's just a risk there. And again, if you're saying you're just trying to stash him, okay, all good. Like I'm not, of course, there's players to stash. I'm never gonna knock somebody for stashing, but I'm not looking at him like he's a must-have, or he's like, man, I'm not too high. I'm not gonna go above and beyond or out of my way to try to pick him up. But I can hear the argument, I can see it, but I'm just not there.
And that's the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to. Like literally, I'll just wait. Like nobody takes him, and then I got my starting lineup filled out. I got a nice bench flex, and then it's like the 10th round.
Where's he going right now? 10th?
He goes like in the 10th round. He goes.
So you have to have, and I should know the account of starters. How many starters do we have on FFPC? We got 10. 10. Mm-hmm. So you basically take me as your first bench spot, or I guess your second or third bench spot if you don't go with the defense at the tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, defense and the kicker. So okay, I mean it's cool.
I mean, if you're
not taking a defense and a kicker there,
right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so he's like your second or third bench spot.
I mean, just looking at that same board around that 10 spot. I mean, to be honest, I can see it. I mean, all those are guys that you're probably waiting on to sort of.
And I've heard arguments. I mean, I think again, best ball is very different than redraft. So I've heard the arguments that like, do you really want to waste a roster spot on somebody who is out 6 weeks? It depends on who that person is. Like even in best ball, I will take TJ Hockenson. I will just gamble.
Is right there too.
I will just gamble.
Right. There's a lot of people in that mid part of the drafts that are just values, in my opinion. Because like I said, nobody from the June drafts that was a mid-round player shot up.
Mm-hmm.
Like not one player. Yeah. There's nobody that we were taking like round 7 through 12 that is now going like 3 through 7. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everybody's still there. Like even with all this new information we've now had practices, practice reports, preseason games, pseudo depth charts, coach speak, player cuts. We had all this happen, and still nobody's shooting up or shooting down. So it's like this is a weird season, and
no injuries.
You can still get your guys.
No
the
injuries.
way you've been drafted, you can still draft that same way if you're just that set on it being a good,
no injuries, no major trades,
no major trade.
Yeah. All right, guys. Short episode this week. That's it. We got to prepare for this draft on Sunday. I can't wait to stream that. Can't wait to talk about it. Anything else before we head out, guys?
Nah.
No?
Catch y'all in these streets.
Nah.
Oh, real quick. We did want to mention one thing. Last week we were talking about the defenses. This is for the FFPC folks.
Yeah.
So apparently they changed the rules in FFPC, the scoring.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had a chance, especially if you've been playing FFPC for a while, go check out the scoring. Defensive scoring is now different. It's not offensive scoring against your defense affect your score a lot more than it used to in the past, and now you can actually get negative points. So go take a look at that because it's definitely something you should be aware of.
Because it could make – I mean, like we always see those tweets where guys like win by like 0.3 points. And if you get negative points, like that could change things.
Just be aware of it. Just because, especially if you're a streamer of defenses, it might affect the way you stream.
Yeah. I did ask just to be on the safe side. you do not need to roster a defense. So say you in a very unique situation where you're going into Monday night.
No, you have to roster. You just don't
You have to roster.
start.
You have to start. Yeah.
Okay.
So say you're going into a unique situation where you are up by 1 point on Monday night, and
The only way you can lose.
only way you can use is if you get negative points from your defense, you can take them out of your starting lineup.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's good to know. All right, guys. One last time, please check in Listener League Sunday, September 1st. We will have a link.
Tell them to
set up.
subscribe to the channel.
Oh
Yeah, man,
Shout out
We're trying
to
to get to 1,000 subs.
Matcher 307 for the who mentioned the defensive changes in the
Right,
FFPC
and tell them
format.
to click this link right here.
Yeah.
This link that's popping up on your screen right here. Click
Yes.
that link and
Search.
they can't even see me.
Yeah. No. Search First and 15.
Yeah, click that link and sub to the channel and get content, injury videos, and all that stuff.
All right. Please like, rate, subscribe. We're out.
Yeah.
I said, God, give me a warning. Please take me for the morning so I leave more disappointments than I ever will appointments. Give a fuck about your feelings, rub it in. This your ointment can't depend on the oinker. Find your pick in the blanket, find a stick. Do your anus give a rib for your statement? This shit and the payment that is on where this.
Why don't you just put that right here on the table?